So we are starting the front axle upgrade for my 2021 diesel Jeep Unlimited Wrangler. We're doing a whole bunch of parts. I'm not fixing anything. I am doing preventive maintenance and upgrades to get to make this stand up a lot better to any off-road abuse. So we're going to be welding on a truss onto the axle housing to strengthen it up. We're going to be replacing the aluminum steering knuckles with aftermarket steel knuckles that are much stronger and hold up to abuse a lot better. And we're going to do a number of things while we're in there. New ball joints because everything's going to be apart. I'm going to upgrade the axle shafts to be stronger so that I can abuse it a little more and they won't break. We're going to relocate this steering stabilizer up out of the way because, as you can see, it hangs down pretty low. And then as long as everything's apart, I'm going to upgrade the tie rod drag link, and we're going to put on a where it is, it's hidden up there, but we're going to do the same sector shaft brace to brace the steering box that Kenneth did on his when we installed his lift, and maybe a couple more things I'm forgetting, but we'll get to those in the video. Note to self: grab the wheel key before you lift the Jeep. Seriously? And then don't drop it on the floor of the Jeep. So, just looking up the instructions for the truss.
Hold on, he's making a lot of noise.
He's hitting his head too.
Bring him.
Okay, so we're gonna start. Very first thing we're gonna do. This is the Artec truss. You can see the nice Artec logo. What we're gonna do is we're gonna paint the interior of these pieces before we weld them on, while we have access to be able to get to the inside. And then and we're going to do it with some good high temp paint that can withstand some of the welding, and get started with those.
Good for 1300 to 2000 degrees. I read online that MIG is about 3000 degrees, so it only cooks it off by 50%.
But yeah, let's get these pieces out outside and away.
Little do they know, I'm about to set up the paint too. So, you know, this works, but I'm going to do something a little bit different.
And of course, if you're doing a truss, you might as well truss the inner C's on the axle, and that's what these pieces are for. Gotta put gloves on.
Safety third. Okay, they're choosing to use acetone for this. I actually have pre available if they wanted it. I also have something from Custom Coatings that I just got that is a competitor to pre. So we got lots of options here for prep, but prep is really important to make sure that all this stuff sticks. So I set the old pop-up up for the boys because conveniently I'm going to be needing it later. But getting these parts out of direct sunlight, I mean, it's still warm outside. It's morning, but it's still warm. And at least it will eventually cure at a more controlled rate than it would in direct sunlight.
Maybe I should wash this Jeep once in a while.
You have a actual.
I have an actual drain plug,
Okay.
which is the whole point of having this skid here. Is the drain plug will get buggered up if you drag it over too many things. Probably gonna wish I had gloves. Do you have a paper towel? Because it's gonna.
And you teased me about wearing gloves to paint.
Well, it wasn't.
Karma, dude.
This fluid only has less than 10,000 miles on it, so it's coming out. It's really in very good shape because it's still fairly fresh. But I'm still not going to reuse it because oil is cheap. So this is the drain plug from the diff. It's magnetized and it has just a little bit of sludge on it. And when gears break in and gears run, you get a little bit of sludge on the magnet. This is fine. This is normal wear. If you start seeing a whole lot of fine dust or chunks, then you know there's a problem inside the diff. But this appears to be normal. This is good. Just starting the disassembly. First thing we do, we're going to take the brake calipers off. We absolutely don't need to disconnect the brake line from the caliper, and that saves us a whole lot of effort bleeding brakes. So the brake line comes off and goes behind the shock, goes over to this bracket and then up, and that's to get the caliper off and hang in before we drop the axle. We'll have to pull the shock.
So on this side, since we're taking the axle out completely, we want to disconnect the vent line. We want to disconnect the
locker.
E-locker connector as well. On the other side, it's the center axle disconnect. Electrical connector, same way, needs to be disconnected to allow things to come apart.
And non-technically, just get your favorite pair of tweezers and squeeze.
Whatever tool allows you to manipulate these clamps.
And if you're like me, I tend to like to replace them with different clamps because I hate those stupid squeeze clamps. So it's a two-stage connector lock. It's got a clip that clips right on here, and then it's got this push lock that once you put it on, you push that in, it keeps anything from pushing down and releasing the clip. And so I put a screwdriver in and I rotate, and you hear it click, and then once it clicks you just push down on it and pull the, so yeah, you just push down on that and then pull the plug and it comes right out. So since we're swapping out the knuckles, it's going to be easier to get these big heavy brake caliper bracket bolts off while everything's still attached, and we can get the leverage on it to get the whole bracket taken off.
21 millimeter and a deep socket works better to clear the brake line on the back side. Be aware,
Parts will fall.
and Jeep might move.
Oh yeah, because this is this shock is the limiting factor on the droop. And just for everybody out there, this is the 2 to 3 inch lift kit shock that came with the Clayton off-road lift kit. I ordered it when I ordered the lift kit from Clayton, and it's likely I'm going to go with a longer shock, but not today. Okay, so we have caliper and bracket together and brake pads all in one big thing, and we have staged a couple of zip ties. I'm just gonna wrap that around. Oh, I need a third hand here. Just okay. So that's gonna be enough. Well, I just need you to stabilize it.
Can you help?
Yeah, just support the weight. Got it? Got it. Okay.
We're going to see if we can remove the wheel speed sensor from the unit bearing rather than having to disconnect the wheel speed sensor at the frame side. So it's just a 5mm hex key to loosen up the nut.
Just a little Swiss Army knife. This would be easier with the brake dust shield out of the way.
Remove the dust shield.
Yeah. So we have to take all this apart anyway, because we are going to be swapping out the knuckles, and so that makes that coming out a lot easier. So I'm going to put this on the other knuckle before I forget. And you're about to hit the tire.
I'm going to say, I'm going to walk over the tire there.
The more I look at this,
We can
the
pump
more
bolts and
everything is in the way. There's just too many brackets.
right.
We're going to hit a bracket no matter what we do.
Yeah, and that's kind of the bane of working on the front axle.
Yeah. Okay. Go ahead and come down slowly. Just in case it falls. Okay. There's really nothing to pry against, really. Okay.
Cut.
Alrighty.
Coming down. Watch your nuts.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
So 4 bolts here for the center axle disconnect module. Since we're welding on this, we want to get the electronics away from the heat for the duration. So just 4 bolts, and then it comes off. What you've got is this little collar that rides on the end of the axle shaft, and it slides back and forth and engages with the half the shaft that is here, still inside the axle.
Okay, so our lighting conditions aren't the best for this, but so to get the inner axle shaft on the passenger side out, there is a retaining clip, and I'll see if I can get to it. Well,
Almost had it.
okay, so a vice grips, and just give it a good yank. Just make sure you get a good set of good vice grips and get a grip on it, and it just pulls right off. And then once that's out, let's see, we've got a seal in the way, so I don't think I can get the shaft out with the seal in the way. Maybe I can. It's oily and I can't grip it.
And eventually, it comes out the other end.
And that is a JL front axle disconnect inner shaft.
Inner shaft.
Alrighty, so we've got the axle completely disassembled. We've got the
All right, all. We need your help. So the three of us are trying to come up with what projects we're going to be doing over the winter, and we think we've got a pretty good handle on it. But every time we three sit at a table and say, yeah, what are we going to work on this winter? Roy and I keep bringing up the M715, and you saw it in this video when Roy was unpacking. This is going to be a beast. It's getting a Cummins 12 valve, first gen, 46-inch tires, 12-inch lift, a ton of fun stuff. And we have already been doing some work to it, but as you can see, it needs a lot to go. You want to see us work on this winter? Please comment in the comments that you want to see that. Kenneth is a little reticent to start working on it. We're not 100% sure why. Maybe he needs a little encouragement from you guys. So, do you want to see us work on the M715 this year? Okay, let us know.